Hello everyone, welcome to a Gran Turismo 7 Daily Race race review where I'm going to call myself out as a dirty driver. I am the instigator in this one, not the victim. Well, I'm actually the victim several times over, but yeah, probably as far as I can remember, my dirtiest performance as a driver on Gran Turismo 7 and probably Gran Turismo Sport. It's from this week's Daily Race C at the Nürburgring GP layout. We're in the Group 4 machinery. It's a fuel saver if you watch the strategy guide. Most of the cars can do around about 7 laps when they're driving full throttle, so you've got around about 2 laps worth of fuel to save. That comes with its own problems, of course, because it was Monday morning at this point. Not everybody was quite on board with the strategy, it would seem, so there was a few drivers out there who were still doing the one stop, and obviously they're going to be a little bit quicker over the course of the race until they make that stop, so probably leads to a few problems. We've got the nice close rolling starts, or certainly closer rolling starts now. Maybe they bring their own problems with it, and this was to be the first little incident that was to kind of maybe start sending me towards the realms of being a dirty driver. The driver that just sort of barged their way by me into turn number 1 there, started in P13. We started in P11, but in the Jaguar F-Type. This car's actually very, very good on fuel, I discovered from a couple of races this morning. But yeah, they've kind of just sort of barged their way into turn 1 there, kind of hit my car on the side on the apex and kind of forced me wide, and yeah, I didn't really think too much of it. It is turn 1 at the end of the day. People will miss their braking points at that point, so I wasn't especially wound up by that one, but it wasn't there was a few more things that were to kick off over the course of these opening laps that were to kind of, you know, bring out the dark side of the womble. Now this driver has overtaken me. He's kind of caught me out a few times over the first few corners with his early braking points. As I said, it is Monday morning here, so it's to be expected. The grids are not particularly strong. You're going to have drivers with different abilities, different braking points, different lines. But I did notice that this driver did seem to be a little bit erratic. As I say that, they go off the track here. They're going to come back on with dirty tyres. They're going to compromise me through this corner here and then down in towards the chicane. And this is going to lead to the second incident, which I guess is sort of slowly taking me towards my inner dirty driver coming out. So we're looking to just try and see the brake point here. They brake a little bit early for the chicane. This kind of allows the Greek driver to go down the outside. Very ambitious move. As far as I'm concerned, he had to abandon that and probably cut across the chicane a little bit, but instead he just aims for the second apex, hits me off the track and costs me another couple of positions. Now all the incidents that happen in this here, as we watch the live action, you'll be able to see replay footage of at the end of the video, give you a different perspective and let me know what you think of some of them. I will still be giving you my thoughts on them as the video progresses as well. Jumping forward here to halfway through lap 2, you're going to see GT Sweetheart, the Dutch driver, in the Alfa Romeo 155, have another little bit of a moment, an erratic moment if you like, and that's going to give us, or put us right behind them again as we come up towards the end of lap 2. Now again, I was very, very aware that they were braking very early for all these corners. They were catching me out, and I was having to take almost avoiding action into most of the corners. So as we came out on here to the back straight, we've got a little bit of a slight slipstream down in towards the chicane. I reckon my kind of temper was a little bit on edge here, but I suspected they were going to brake very, very early for the chicane here, and they do brake very early, catch me right out. I have to kind of go for an overtake of sorts. We're going to get tangled up a little bit. It felt to me that the Dutch driver, GT Sweetheart, just, you know, attempted to take me out there. Certainly in my head, that's what I thought at the time, and I was now on a little bit of a mission here to exact some revenge maybe. So you can see we've just decided to abandon the fuel saving as we go down the main straight here. I walk back past this WRX into turn number 1. My sights are firmly set on GT Sweetheart. I did consider going for the lunge there, I think, but we backed out at the last moment. But yeah, I was I can remember racing at this point and I was like, I am not happy with this driver at all. Let's come into the twisty section here as we're about to emerge towards the AMG or the Mercedes arena. Now he's disappeared here, he's kind of taken a really wide line, and I thought, yeah, you're just going to swerve back across my line. I'm not giving you any space, I don't really care, and I'm not going to lie, I kind of deliberately drove into GT Sweetheart there. My intention wasn't really to take them out, they did end up spinning off, but my intention was to, you know, push them wide, get past them, and then hopefully forget about them. We then had to aggressively defend from the Italian into the next corner, but that was not my proudest moment as a GT driver, that's for sure. Don't get me wrong, I think we were kind of riled into it a little bit with what had happened earlier on in the race with the same driver. Now, moving on from that, we've got Lemon Squeezy here up ahead of us. He's had a moment into the hairpin, or she's had a moment into the hairpin, who knows? Hard to tell from this angle. But they're then going to go defensive into these next few corners, and I guess I was probably already at the point of no return. You know, we've all been here, I think. I think if anyone says they've not, where you're driving and a few things happen over the course of the race, you end up just seeing red a little bit. You end up being a little bit less rational than you normally are, and I think I'd definitely hit this point. I think this was maybe even a culmination of all the issues I had at Laguna Seca this week as well. So coming into the chicane, Lemon Squeeze is going to go defensive. We try to get a better exit out of the chicane, and as we go into the last corner here, they're going to take a very strange line, and I just go, yeah, I'm coming down through there, and that's a horrific pass on my part. But again, we never killed the driver, did we? They did go wide, there was a gap there, but there's no excuses really. We kind of just drove the car in. We now start defending very aggressively down into turn number 1. I was kind of expecting maybe them to just shove it down the inside there, but to their credit, they kind of raced very fair into turn 1, and that was us through into that position. Now we jump forward here to lap 6. There hadn't been any further instances, but the German in the GTR has had an incident of some sort. So we're going to go down into the hairpin here. I was aware they would have dirty tyres. You can kind of see this is not normally the sort of move that I would go for, but I did think, yeah, you've got dirty tyres, I'm going to shove that down the inside. It actually turns out to be quite a nice overtake. This is going to lead us to our next incident of this race, because this is probably the worst one of the lot, folks. Now, it's a racing incident, it's certainly not deliberate, but when you see this in the replay footage, I think you will agree that it was a bit of a naughty move on my part. So jumping forward to lap 7 now, we've got a slipstream down towards the chicane. We've got the Nissan GTR behind us who's closing up rapidly. They're going to go for a bit of an ambitious overtake here as far as I'm concerned. I seen it in the radar, so I gave them a wide berth into the first apex. Realised I couldn't make the second apex, so cut the chicane a little bit. I thought because we'd had a slight little bit of contact I might avoid the penalty, but the fact we did get the penalty, I guess, is probably just another factor in what led to what happens next. So coming down the start finish straight, the GTR is going to get a good slipstream. Now I was pretty sure they were going to be pitted at the end of this lap. They've just given me a half-second penalty, and they move to go for the move on the inside, and I react to it. There's no two doubts about it. I react to the move. I moved the car when they went to go for the inside, which is a big no-no. They had to then take avoiding action to try and go to the outside, lost control of the car, and then clipped us as they went off at turn 1. So that was the end of that one. A few very suspect dodgy moves on my part. We did finish in P5 in the end, courtesy of a couple of 1 minute penalties. Crazy at this time, you know, this late into the game, that people are still not quite getting the memo or looking at the race settings before the race kicks off. But let's take a look at all the instances here from the third person perspective. We're on board with GT Sweetheart into turn 1. It looks fairly innocent from that angle, but, and as I said, I wasn't especially bothered by that one at the time. This is the Greek going round the outside here, so they just cut across to go for the first apex like our car doesn't exist, and then just barges off as they try to take the second apex as well. That cost me a couple of positions. I was pretty miffed by that one, to be fair. This is us going for the dive on GT Sweetheart into the chicane here. Now, I do want you to note where they actually brake, because they literally brake at about 140 metres. You can brake at 100 metres in these Group 4 cars. So I think we were quite far along the inside, but again, they just turned in like we weren't there. I'm not saying I was innocent in that one, but I think we deserved a little bit more room than we got. So, and this is going to be our takeout of the Dutch driver. As you can see, we made no attempt to avoid them as we went into that corner. Spun them round, and yeah, probably should have got a penalty for that, but penalties do seem a little bit non-existent at the moment. This is the move on Lemon Squeezy. Yeah, they do run wide into the last corner. We do shove the car down the inside, but we did quite clearly understeer wide into them. And this is the final instant as well. This is the GTR going for the move down into the chicane. Now you will see that we give them room on the first apex, unlike we got from the Greek driver or the Alfa Romeo driver, so we get kind of through there side by side, but then I'm then forced to cut the corner, pick up the half-second penalty, and yeah, this is going to kind of, I think that was probably more than anything to do with the fact how aggressive I was to defend this one down into turn 1. So the GTR's got the slipstream, GTR's obviously got plenty of grunt as well, obviously revving it out because they were actually going to pit at the end of this lap. They've got no fuel, they move to go to the inside, we react to that, they then have to take avoiding action, lose the back end of the car, and off they go. So yeah, not my greatest race ever, as I said, calling myself out. Apologies to any of the drivers in this one whose races I affected. But let me know what you think in the comments of what happened in this one, and it seems a bit cheeky to do this right at the end of the video after being a dirty driver, but please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.